Oh, you got to move your big fingers.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. And then if that gets tiring, I'll hold
Read
it
it.
back. Okay.
All right, we are on. Welcome, everybody. I want to go ahead and get started on time today because Kyle has so graciously agreed to appear, and I know this is a very busy day for him. It's election day, and so if you live near me in the Pennsylvania State Senate District 19 and you haven't already voted, you have 5 more hours to
Lisa,
go and do so.
what municipality are you in again?
I live in Avondale Borough.
Okay, I'm out here in Oxford right now, so I
You're in
forgot.
Oxford. Okay, so he's in Oxford. If you want to go say hi at one of the precincts there. But we wanted to have a quick chat about kids and race. And the reason that I invited Kyle is that, first of all, when you think about should I invite a minister to come speak or a teacher to come speak or a school board member to speak, he just checks like all the boxes, including being president of a local chapter, the Westchester chapter of the NAACP. So that's why I have him here today. If you want to ask a question, go ahead and type it on the right-hand side or type it as a comment and we'll see it on our right-hand side. But Kyle, I just want to ask you, for people like me, and I'm just a middle-aged mom sitting at home in a quarantine, watching all this, and all I can think of is that, this is not the world I want to live in. This is not the world I want my kids to grow up in. What can we do?
I like leading with that question. It's a big question. The first thing is seek to have greater understanding of one's own privilege and one's own place in the issue. And I'm not going to say place in the problem. We know it's a problem, but place in the issue. Because a lot of the times, and these two fine teenagers that are volunteering with me today and being my incredible helpers, um, they witnessed me have a conversation with a pastor, and we were just talking about our various perspectives, and it was a challenging conversation for a couple of minutes. And that's not why I'm out here in Oxford, but what I've learned through my experiences is that's why I'm here, among other things, is to lean into sometimes the difficult conversation and to do it in a difficult way. And I like to think that's one of the reasons, according to the testimony of some folks coming out of the polls, that's one of the reasons some individuals are voting for me, is because I believe that there is a way to engage in the difficult work and still respect one another. But really going back to the crux of your question, we have to understand where we are and our privilege. All of us come to issues from a perspective. As a black man in America, I have a certain perspective. I know what it is to be racially profiled. I understand what it is to have the mother sit you down and give you the talk before you start driving. Though that is a burden that is a part of life in the United States. So that's my perspective. And for those who have not examined their perspective in their privilege, they won't understand it. So a self-examination is the very first thing. Practically after that, you can join it and become a member of the NAACP or join some sort of civil rights organization. But if you haven't examined your own privilege, you're going to bring your privilege to that organization and continue to do damage. So I would really say, as philosophical as it sounds, the first level is to seek an understanding of oneself and one's privilege, and then move from there.
So how do we I know that I'm sure, there are decades of ingrained, even though right now I can say as I sit here, my heart is in the right place. I know that there are ingrained biases. And just like, as you know, I have a disabled child. And just like when people are really well intended, and I know they truly care about Kevin, they say the wrong thing. I don't ever want to scare people off from caring because they're afraid to say or do the wrong thing. And that's kind of the way I feel about this issue. Like I feel like I'm frozen into inactivity because I'm afraid of saying or doing the wrong thing because of things I don't know. Because I don't know. Like it's that whole you don't know what you don't know piece. And I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Learning. I'm glad you said that. I know at home I have a library of critical conversations and Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow, and Stamps from the Beginning, and a bunch of other books that help anybody understand race and class issues more. But I like that you mentioned your son because, um, one thing that happens often is we get into this sort of like oppression Olympics. So it happens among, you know, groups talking about race and groups talking about sexuality and gender issues and groups talking about disability issues, any sort of marginalized or oppressed population. We can sort of get into this, what some of us call the oppression Olympics. And I know if you invited me into a conversation, Lisa, which, I think you kind of have through the things we posted and through our conversations, if you invite me into a conversation about disability issues, one of the worst things for me to do is say, well, with race, no, the conversation at that time is about disability issues. And that's what we're there to talk about. That's the population we're there to lift up and esteem. And what so often happens in America is when there is an elevation of the race conversation, it's like, yeah, well, as a this, I've experienced that when I was 17 in Brooklyn. This happened. It's like, no, this is what we're talking about. Let's deal with this issue and not get into the comparison, the quantification, all that kind of stuff. That's a part of it too. Staying focused and really challenging oneself to listen and to learn, to read, to examine, to study.
So if we were still back in school, what would you be talking to your students about this week?
I would be doing, number one, I would be doing more listening than anything else because I've taught in different environments. How are you, sir? Good. I'm good. I've been blessed to teach different populations. I've taught classrooms with majority African American students. I've taught classrooms with majority Hispanic students, majority white students, and I've loved all of them: urban, suburban, high school, middle, math. Hi guys, how are you? Social studies. Um, I would first listen, and I would let them see the world, right? Structured. Let them see what's happening. Most of them already know, but let them see what's happening, and we'd have conversations. One of the worst things a teacher can do is proselytize, and I've never done that. But to this day, some of the best comments I get from former students, particularly white students, Mr. Boyer, I love that you exposed me to, because you made me think about, not you told me, not you said this is what black men think. No, I don't do that. But I've always invited students, regardless of race, into a conversation. Bye. And I think that's where the most learning happens. It's sort of this discovery. They begin to see, you know what? I have privilege. That person lacks privilege. Um, this person has experienced and continues to experience this type of oppression. That's kind of what I like as a teacher. Social studies. I am finishing a year in math, so it's a little different. But there's opportunities even in math if you structure it the right way.
Okay. So I mean, I know we all have things to learn from each other. Is that kind of the advice right now? That, I mean, just because I'm an advocate and a lobbyist by nature, it's not my nature to sit silent. It's I'm a doer. But you're saying to
He
just
just
kind
told
of,
me I was awesome, and he's a Republican.
all
So
right.
that should tell you, when you speak the truth and you stand and you approach it the right way, you invite people in. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's all right. Um, so are you saying right now, as for those of us who are activist minded and we're doers and we like to do things, we like to help, but you're saying just right now, sit and listen and learn, and that's really
Yeah, I don't want to make a false dichotomy. There, you can definitely attend the rallies and peacefully and demonstrate. You can also support honorable police at the same time and make sure that they know that you want them to be protected. I mean, when these things aren't mutually exclusive, but um, I think for some people there's always this sense to like do. Sometimes doing is just being an ally and just join. What are you doing? I see you all as an oppressed group. What can I do? Ask. There is a local
okay.
chapter of the NAACP wherever you live, whoever's watching. Seek out the leadership and ask. The faith community is still very important, regardless of what it is. seek out one of your local churches with a predominantly African American membership and ask the pastor, how can I partner? What can I do to support? I think right now they are very affirming actions, and you can go back into your space and do certain things too. But um, seeking ways to learn and to affirm at the same time, they're not mutually exclusive.
Okay. Well, listen, I know you're crazy busy and you're trying to get votes.
I
So,
can take another. If you got one, I take one more.
okay. Does
There's
anybody
somebody
have
standing
a
there.
question they want to ask while, sorry, I'm scrolling through. Question for Kyle about your kids. I guess also then as a white mother, I don't have your lived experiences and you don't have mine. So how do I talk to, I've tried explaining my 11-year-old when he saw all this stuff in the news, he said, yeah, I get it. It's because of George Floyd. And I said, well, it's not really just about George Floyd. And I kind of went into that a little bit. But what he's learning is basically from the NBA and NFL players that he follows, because he follows a lot of them on Instagram. But what should we be telling our kids? And I'm talking about not ones that we want to form their thoughts, but
Yeah.
littler ones who truly need explanation of, hey, the city of Philadelphia is shut down, Mom. Like, should I be concerned? Oh yeah, and there's one. How to discuss it with those who have literal thinking.
Oof.
Sorry.
That's hard. It's hard in any context. It's hard as a teacher to teach a kid who because of what they've experienced and because of how they've been conditioned thinks one way. That question is very difficult. But I think the two are tied together. This is one thing that is difficult to wade through because I don't have children of my own. As much as I think I've been a father figure to many, I've got kids. I have a little cousin who's here. Many kids who look up to me. I don't necessarily bear the burden of a parent, but I feel like maybe if I were a white parent with a little kid, I might first assess because you always want to assess, and sometimes the assessment is just the comment they bring to you, right? And say, sometimes, honey, in the world, there are in America, in our country, in our neighborhood, there are sometimes people who are treated differently just because of the color of their skin. That's simple. And that is not right. I heard you say form their thinking. Sometimes there has to be some sort of forming. We have racism is learned.
Yeah.
You know, the discrimination, prejudice, bias, that's learned. Kids aren't born thinking that Johnny is different because Johnny is black or white. Uh, it is a formed sort of thing. So I said that to say, and I do have to go now because there is another meeting. I would say dis- discern a certain truth that you can tell your kid in the way of formation because we do teach our kids things. Flush the toilet after you're done. It's not an exception. I'm not debating whether or not I'm going to form your opinion. I don't want to come in and see the little, the little floaty. Wash your hands. And under normal circumstances, wear a mask in public. It's not a debate. I'm trying to form your opinion. This is a value. It has to be a value that in our family, whether that be because it's our faith, because that's our values, however you form it, we treat people right regardless. Not this fake we don't see color thing. Everybody looking at your screen sees a brown face. So I don't want to pretend to not see color. No, we do. But we treat people right regardless of the color. That's the value that should be formed.
Okay. All right. Well, since you have to go, good luck today. Unfortunately, we're
You
not
for
going to
the
have our
opportunity.
results for a week, right?
No, I don't. No, we better get ours.
Oh, Governor Wolf said he was giving a week to count mail-in ballots.
I think in just those six counties, Philly,
Oh,
Erie,
okay.
Delaware, it may be Berks, but it's only 6 counties, not Chester. So get those mail-in ballots to voter services before 8 o'clock. Thank you
Okay.
so much, Lise.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, I'm going to stay on for just another minute or two because I see some questions about literal thinkers and, autism, obviously more literal thinking, kids on the spectrum. I'm going to try to dig up a list of resources and books, in particular, books about racism and discrimination and books about just books about this, but particularly those written by Black authors, because I think that's something that needs to kind of get out there. So I will be transcribing this as I always do and sending it out. And that's it. I'm sorry I couldn't be longer. Sorry it was only 15 minutes today, but again, it's election day and he's out campaigning. So just another reminder, if you are in Washington, D.C., Indiana, Iowa, Maryland, Montana, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Dakota, and Delaware, those are the states that have your primary today. So please go out and vote. Okay. Thank you so much.